based on principle of linear impulse and momentum. These two equations are not useful for us. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. If you have no questions, we will move to the second part to talk about the conservative of impulse and momentum. And in this first part, we actually have other example problems, but because in this week we have to deliver the contents in both week 8 and week 9, we will have no time to discuss this example problem. For this one, it's an interesting problem. I leave it to you to study by yourself. And you can use this lecture notes, and you also can use the pre-recorded video of lecture uploaded to YouTube, and I will provide a link after this class. Okay, so now let me open the second class. Here. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, the second part. And that's about the conservation of linear and angular momentum. So, firstly, let's have a look. What is conservation of momentum? Actually, here there are two theories. One is the conservation of linear momentum, and another one is the conservation of angular momentum. And we can apply these two theorems separately. Now, we will start from principle of linear impulse and momentum, and we studied this just now. Okay, and here L1 means initial momentum, L2 final momentum, linear momentum, and in the middle this is the linear impulse in the time duration from T1 and T2. Now have a look. What will happen if the linear impact in the time duration from T1 to T2 is 0? Then you will see. That means the initial linear momentum on the left side should be equal to the final linear momentum on the right side. Okay, and this equation is applied about the mass center point G. Now, conservation of angular momentum. Okay, so again, for this theory, we will start from the principle of angular impulse and momentum. Hg1 is 1, initial angular momentum, Hg2 final angular momentum, and in the middle, and this one is the angular impulse on the rigid body in the time duration from T1 to T2. Okay, what will happen if the angular impulse becomes 0? Again, you will see hg1 should be equal to hg2. So here, one important thing is when we apply conservation of angular momentum for a rigid body, we must select a suitable point. Okay, so this point could be the mass center point G, and it could be another point, point A. This means what? This means to apply conservation of angular momentum, to apply this theory, this is only valid for a selected point. It may be valid for point G, and it may be valid for point A, but it doesn't mean this conservation of angular momentum can be valid for both point G and point A at the same time. So this is very important. So normally, this theory, conservation of angular momentum or the conservation of linear momentum, this is useful for solving a problem involving two instants immediately one by one. Okay, so we will see how this can work in the following example problem. Okay, we can also apply these two theorems for a system. If you have a system, and in this system you have more than one rigid body, to apply the theorem of conservation of linear momentum, and this can be about the mass center of each rigid body. But for a system, if you are going to apply conservation of angular momentum for a system, then the calculation should be about only one point mass center point of this system, G, or a selected point, for example, point O. Okay, so this is very important. Now, the conservation of momentum equation or theorem can be used if there exists only non-impulsive forces. Exist only non-impulsive forces are very small. So now we have to understand two concepts. What is non-impulsive forces and what is impulsive forces? Non-impulsive forces can cause negligible impulse. What does this mean? This means some small force act over a very short time period. But what is impulsive forces? Impulsive forces means a force that is very large and can generate a high impulse, even this force acts on a rigid body for a very short time period. So for example, the force from a tennis racket on a tennis ball, or a force between two round stones in curling, or between the balls in snook. Okay, I think this sounds abstract, so it should be better to use some videos to show. Okay, let me have a look at this one. Okay, look at this one. First one. Okay, so here you can see impulsive force from a tennis racket on a tennis ball. And you can see that time is very, very small. And here it's a slow motion. But in reality, and this time, contact time between the racket and the ball is very small. So this means the time duration of this impact force on the tennis ball is very small. But the effect is very high because the tennis ball can get a very high velocity. Okay, so definitely this force is impulsive force. Okay, now another one. Have a look. Okay, I don't know why no audio. Something wrong, but it's okay. And we can still see. Okay. The impact from one stone to another, and you can see the acting time is very much small. But because the force is very high, so it can have higher effect. So definitely this impact force is impulsive force. Okay. Yes. Okay, now have a look. This one. Back to the slide. And here. So you should know impulsive force and non-impulsive, they are not absolute concepts. But how to identify if a force is impulsive or non-impulsive? I think this video should be useful. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, let me have a look. What's wrong with this video? Oh, sorry. It was not share. Okay. Okay, in this one here, you can see in this video, the watermelon was adopted to simulate human being head. Okay, so different tools are falling down to hit the helmet, and you can see the effect. So consider this: if you put any one of these tools on your head for any long time, what will happen? Probably nothing will happen, isn't it? But if this tools falling down from a high position, it can result in very serious consequences. Why? Because weight force is not an impulsive force. Go back to this slide. Okay, weight force is not an impulsive force, but the impact force, one of these two falling down, and when it hits the helmet or the head, the force between the helmet and the tool is the impact force, and the impact force is definitely impulsive. So typical impulsive force, and including explosive force, and some other kind of forces, and typical non-impulsive forces normally means a weight force of a rigid body, or a force imparted by a slightly deformed spring, okay, with relatively a small thickness. Okay, now about the application of conservation of angular momentum. Have a look. Okay. Firstly, let's have a look at simulation of ice skirting a fin. Let me show you one video. Interesting video. Okay. Have a look.
Welcome back. It is another fun Steve
fun.
Spangler
This is going to be fun.
morning. Fingers crossed. I'm sure if you didn't see the preview before, I'm going to be spinning on that.
The Olympics are not over in the minds of teachers and parents who are
Right.
using them as a teaching moment, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of good stuff that's out there. I'll say at the very beginning here, the NBC Sports put some great science video up, and we linked all of that together and tried to put some things together. But we're going to talk about the spin, all
Okay,
right?
like
Now, a
you
lot
see
of people
on
do this
screens.
demonstration by having people spin in an office chair, all right? But why would you do that? Because you're sitting and that would be safe. So
Right.
here's what you're going to do. You
We're not
are going
gonna
to
do
be on
things
this
safer
exercise thing. See this little exercise thing here?
Yes.
Has ball bearings. It's like a lazy Susan for a person.
Oh, good.
All right, so now here. All right, good. So now you just stand on this, okay?
I almost fell off of this just
Okay.
trying to stand on it before.
You were
during the
so
break.
good at this.
Okay.
All right, so now this is all about angular momentum, all right? So
Yeah.
before everybody goes to sleep, here's the deal. You're going to spin. You're going to put your arms out like this.
Okay.
So I'm going to spin you like this.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, see?
Oh my
That's good.
gosh.
Good. No, it's okay. You're fine.
Yeah,
All right, so
I'm
now
gonna
watch
fall.
this. So now you're going to be okay. I'm going to spin you again, but this time I want you to take your arms that will act as weights, and I want you to bring them towards your chest.
Okay.
Okay, so what's going to happen is you're going to change the moment of inertia from here to here. Got it?
Okay, got it.
So here we go. You ready? So kind of spin around. Now bring your, oh, see how great that was? Okay, you're okay, you're okay. Okay, but now, see, isn't that fun? But now if you take your arms and put them back out again, you'll slow down. Okay, so here, try it. Okay, ready?
All right.
So a little spin like this, okay? Arms in, good, arms out. See, now see
I
how
like
you can
arms
control
out.
it? All
Arms
right.
out's a lot more fun.
But this is a lot more fun, all right?
no.
All right, so hang on to these weights,
Okay.
So this is good. All right, so this is good. Now, you're going to get going a little bit, and then I'm going to bring you in. Okay, ready? So spin around like this. So we're changing. Okay, stay there, stay there, stay there. Now go in. Whoa! See? Honey, it's just because I'm helping her. I know I'm going to pay for that. All right, so here, hang on here again.
Yes.
See, is that great?
Dizzy Steve.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Wait till you get to do the weather after this, okay?
Yeah, great.
So what's the weather today, Becky? You're gonna be, okay, so watch. You're not going to go as fast. You're going to bring him in. Ready? So we're changing the moment of inertia.
Yeah.
Bring it in. Ready? Oh, isn't that awesome? Oh, you were so good. See, that was perfect. Is that great?
That was kind of fun.
All right.
Except
So,
for the falling off part.
angular momentum, velocity. So if you change the moment of inertia, you have to spin up to keep
Right.
everything constant. So kind of fun to do. So if you don't have one of these, you try an office chair. But when you graduate to this, I've been dizzy all weekend long. Just working.
Seriously.
Isn't it fun?
Okay, now have a look at another video to show how this can be used in sports science.
For decades, the Winter Olympic Games has drawn people from across the world to marvel at breathtaking athletics on the snow and ice. One of the most popular events is figure skating. Athletes meld acrobatics, dance, and physics into mesmerizing performances. It is the sheer precision that separates the skilled athlete from the novice. Through years of tireless training, skaters must learn to understand and use angular momentum to become.
Okay, in this video, angular momentum was defined as L, but in our lecture notes, L means linear momentum.
The best in their sport. Angular momentum is the product of a skater's moment of inertia and angular velocity and is represented by the letter L. When the skater is rotating with no net external torque acting on her, angular momentum is conserved. With her arms and leg outward, she increases her moment of inertia, which reduces her angular velocity. As she pulls her arms and leg inward, she is able to spin faster since her angular velocity increases while her moment of inertia decreases. And this is how skaters become champions.
Okay, slide. Okay, so you actually, when we use this theorem to study, for example, skating spin, we assume the friction force from the air and the friction force from the ice are small enough. So that means the friction force can be treated as non-impulsive. And then in this case here, the angular impulsive is approximately zero. So we can apply conservation of angular momentum. Okay. Now, let's have a look how to use this to solve a problem. Example 1. Okay, so in this problem here, you can see one platform and a man stands on this platform at this position. Initially, the system was at rest. Okay, initially, the platform was static and this man was stated. The question here is, if this man leaps off this circular platform with a velocity of 1.5 meters per second,